sent an email to 30 of my closest friends and pastoral colleagues about what we were doing and asked them to join us in this work and in this prophetic action. Most of them have said, I think, that they're planning to be there. But I did receive one email from someone who's very dear, Rabbi Michael Latz, and he said, Brad, I get it. I get what you're doing. I get why you're going. But I can't do it. Because of the things that were said about me that go against my soul, that go against my family, I cannot share that space. And I cannot share that pulpit. And likewise, I get that. I honor the rich diversity of who we are as a people and what we are trying to do in these days. Of being a community that gathers around and of trying to be a prophetic voice and action for love. And that at times that's going to take different forms. And I've been wondering about what that means for us here at Calvary. We like to talk a lot about neighbor and radical welcome. I think we work to live it out in really significant ways. But I know it would be challenging for me and maybe for some of you if certain U.S. Congress people or legislators from Minnesota walked in this door. Or if people who held significantly different views on certain issues would come through this door. It might be challenging if we invited a bishop from another denomination to feel that this is a worshipful and holy place for all. But yet I know that when Jesus says we are called to love our neighbors, it's not just about those people that we really like, that we want to go out for dinner with, or hang out with and have a good time. But it's people who are different than us. Maybe who have come from different class backgrounds or racial backgrounds, but also people who come from different political backgrounds. People who have walked a different road. And that we talk with each other. Even when it's hard. And we live in love together, even when it's really difficult. Because you see, today what we are made mindful of is that this communion of saints, well, they don't look just like me. And they didn't talk the same language as you or I. They live differently. They maybe held different values. They argued about things. They struggled with what it meant to follow Jesus. Many of them were different ages and had different experiences. And when we light those candles to remember the saints, we hold fast to the ways that they were good and holy, but we also remember the times that maybe they let people down or struggled with their own demons. And we are called to love them through it, just as they continue to love and be part of a much larger community. That's part of the wonder, part of the power. I'm going to end today with a really wonderful thing that happened for me. Last Friday, I went up to my parents. Of course, I had driven along the interstate with signs everywhere. And I listened to CDs because I was sick of all of the political ads. And then on that Friday afternoon, my dad was going to pick up my nephew from his elementary school. And he said, "Do you want to ride along?" And I said, "Sure." So we hopped in the car. My dad had a radio station on, which always makes me a little bit nervous. Because either we end up listening to the farm reports, or I end up hearing some views that maybe I wouldn't necessarily agree with. But on this day, he had said, "You know what? I've been listening to these guys from Fargo Moorhead, and you know what? They're liberals. One of them, Joel Heidenkamp, even has a sister running for the Senate as a Democrat. And I said, okay. And we listened to it, and we commented back and forth about what we might agree with or what we might not agree with. And we realized that within that conversation, even though we may come at things from different political leanings or understandings, that the two of us had a lot in common. And I saw my dad continuing to glance in the rearview mirror at my nephew Gabe and my little boy Torrin. And I could see him thinking about what it meant for us to leave a legacy for them. And today, as a communion of saints, that's part of what we get to do. We get to hold fast to those who have gone before us. And we get to journey with the people who are so important to us today, as well as those that we may not know yet. With our eyes in that rearview mirror, about those little ones that are going to come after us, the holy ones of God. And we hold fast that we will love the Lord our God no matter what befalls us. In the good and rich and wonderful, and in the crappy and the hard, we are going to love God. And we are going to live into an expansive vision of neighborhood, even when that's hard. Because I am convinced, and I hope you are convinced, that the love of God is immeasurable and unbounded, and claims us first, and merely invites us to dance, to live in that wonder and that hope, today